everyone, welcome back. My name is Andrea. I am Andrea of the Knitting PT. If you're a returning viewer, you might have noticed that that's not what I usually call myself. I usually say I'm Andrea of Elu Knits. And so last weekend I changed my handle on Instagram. And by that I just mean I changed where you can find me. So like now I'm not at Elu Knits anymore. I'm at the Knitting PT. That does mean it'll be changed for kind of all my social media going forward. You'll have noticed that I've changed my YouTube name to the Knitting PT. My website remains the same, www.ptandrea.com. But that will be my new logo, my new brand going forward. I am really excited about it. I feel like now I am fully embracing the niche that I found in the knitting community, and just really, I think the new name really just encompasses what I'm about, and what my feed and my grid and all my content is about as well. I have a new logo, which I will pop here so you can see. It was designed for me by Reese James Studio. If you don't know who he is the other half of Woolberry Fiber Co. But Reese is also a kind of graphic design illustrator artist in his own right. And I reached out to him and asked him to help me come up with a logo and kind of like a whole branding package. And I'm so happy with what he came up with. I really think that the logo he came up with, this image of a woman with a shawl wrapped around her shoulders, it just brings this feeling of comfort and nurturing nourishment when I look at it, which I think is exactly what I strive for, and what I bring to Instagram and here on YouTube, is to nurture everyone in physical health and wellness, so that we can continue to knit and crochet and craft and do these things that bring us comfort. Yeah, so that is my huge news. It's that I have a new name. So I hope you like it. I am working on some merchandise behind the scenes and some other things. So be on the lookout for that. I will kind of announce it when it's ready. Yeah, so I'm really excited. There'll be a lot of big things coming, hopefully. And I feel like now that I'm putting it out here and I'm talking about it, that makes it official. So if you're new here, this is my YouTube podcast where I talk about all things knitting, yarn related. I talk about body wellness also. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I put out reels every Friday with tips on posture and exercises and stretches and ergonomics, all things to help you to craft healthily. I do also post the reels here on YouTube. Also, I tend to upload them kind of 2 or 3 at a time together. If you don't have Instagram or you don't prefer to use Instagram, you can also check my YouTube. I'm trying to be better about uploading more frequently, but it does slip my mind, so sorry. So today's episode, I'm going to be mostly talking about giving you an update on all my WIPs, and as usual going over any stash acquisitions I have, which you can kind of see here. It's a smaller stack than usual, which is good, but it just yeah, anyway, let's just get to it. So first I always forget to talk about what I'm wearing, so I'm going to start off with that. So what I'm wearing, this is the Maya top by Gabriella Treminio. On Instagram, she's Hello Gabriella. That's also the name of her website. And I test knit this for her back in the spring. So this is a fingering weight top with a beautiful patterned yoke, circular yoke. It's got some nubs, some eyelets, some garter, what are they called? Garter details in between, garter edges, I guess, I don't know. And then I'll stand up so you can see this. It has a rolled hem on the bottom. And on the sleeves are finished with a crochet hook. So it is a fingering weight tee. You can see the gauge is quite airy. So this was knit on size 10 needles, I believe. Yes, size 10. So it's very airy, perfect for summertime or spring or just warmer weather. I am wearing it over a dress because it is still hot here in Texas. And this is kind of the maximum I can do, even indoors in the AC. And so this is in Suburban Stitcher Sock in her colorway Dusty Pink. And I use actually under 1 skein of fingering for this top. So yeah, that's another thing to know. And I knit, I think, size smaller. I knit the 2nd or 3rd size. I can't remember which one right now. Yeah. But any details you want on any of my projects are all on my Ravelry, which is linked below also. So for this week, I only have one FO to show you, but it is, I think, a pretty big one. It's my Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits. Ta-da! So I talked about this last time, but I did do a few modifications. I modified it so that there's usually a lace portion across the yoke. I just knit straight through for stockinette, and then the pattern's also written for either a cropped or a full length top. I knit it full length, and then for the sleeves, it's actually supposed to be 3/4 sleeves or elbow sleeves, I think, and I just knit them completely full length. If anything, I made them a little bit longer just so I have a little bit of like a balloony cuff situation going on down here at my wrists. It does have a short row hem, like a high, so that it makes a high-low hem. So if I hold it up this way, you can see that the back is a little bit longer than the front. I'll pop a photo here of me wearing it. And so you can see that the sleeves are a little bit longer. I knit it that way, and I'm really pleased with how it looks. The yarn that I knit this up in is La Bien in May, and this is her Totoro in May colorway, and this is on her DK base. I talked about this in the last episode, just kind of about Totoro and May and that colorway, and the inspiration is based on a scene from My Neighbor Totoro where May is lying on Totoro's belly, and it's the first time she truly, I think, it's like the first time they truly meet, like face to face. Yeah, and it was, My Neighbor Totoro is one of my favorite movies growing up. So knitting this up, this colorway, just brought so much nostalgia and childhood memories, and it's just going to remind me of that every single time I wear the sweater. So I'm really excited for the weather to get colder so that I can wear this. Yeah, but I am super pleased with this. I did alternate skeins in the body, and I alternated it using helical knitting. And so helical knitting has been around for a while. It's not anything new, but I just never tried it before until this sweater, and I don't know what took me so long to decide to try it, but I'm glad I finally got around to it. I used to just alternate skeins like at the same point when I was knitting around it, so it would always inevitably form like a ridge down where I was changing out my skeins, that even with blocking it didn't quite go away, but I always did it on the side seam so that it was least obvious there. But with helical knitting, what you do is you knit in the round and then you stop 3 stitches before your 3 stitches before where you last switch skeins, and then you slip those 3 stitches and you pick up knitting with the other ball, and so you kind of like make your way around the circle, so there's never the same point where you're switching skeins. And so anyway, it results in this really pretty, really, I think, polished look. Like I cannot even tell where I was switching out anything. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I am really happy with this modified Love Note. I would definitely knit this pattern again. I probably would also knit it without the lace. I honestly think I prefer the look of it without the lace. Yeah. So that's my FO. I was hoping to have another FO to show you, but I just didn't get it done, which is okay. And so I have a really close FO. I'm almost done with it. So this is my In the Pocket sweater, and I'm modifying it to be a vest for my daughter. So it looks so good. So this is the In My Pocket sweater by Rachel Kurihara. I test knit this also in the spring sometime, and I made one for my son, and my daughter saw it. She loved it. She really loved the pocket detailing on it, so she told me she wanted one too, but she wanted it without sleeves, so she wanted a vest. And my daughter is like super into vests. She, I think, is like trying to urge fall to come, because this week, even though it's been in like the high 80s, low 90s in Texas, she has been wearing a vest to school every day, like wearing her biker shorts and her t-shirt and then a vest. I mean, she takes it off when she gets too hot, but she's been like starting her day off wearing a vest, which is kind of funny. So I think she's like she's trying to will the fall weather to come. But I'm excited because whenever it does get cold, this will be ready for her. All I've got left to do is weave in ends, but also to just pick up the stitches on the armholes and just knit a small kind of like ribbed armhole on the sides, also in the contrast color. Oh, and to do the pocket as well. The pocket, that's a very important part. So both of these yarns are the Red Pansy and her DK base. This is Hibiscus, and then the minty blue is Lagoon. Yeah, my daughter picked these colors out herself. She has been really excited watching me knit it up. Every couple days or so, I'll show it to her, or I'll ask her to come and I'll hold it up to her just to make sure the length is getting there. And she told me the other day, she was looking at it, she was like, Mommy, I love it so much. I just love it. Like all the pinks and purples and yellows. It's like all her favorite colors combined into one. So yeah, I'm really excited for this to be done and for her to wear it and take some FO shots of her in it. She's gonna be over the moon. So happy. Let's see, another WIP I've got that I've been working on is my Willow Tee. So this is in Craft Me Not Yarn Co. and her colorway Cafe. And this base is her wool and linen base. So it's 90% merino, 10% linen. Is this the front? Yes, it is the front. So this is the Willow Tee by This Bird Knits. So you can see it has a lace yoke detail here, and then the rest is stockinette. So I'm about maybe almost 2 inches on the body. This is also at a larger gauge, so this is knit on size 8 needles in fingering weight yarn. Yeah, I'm really excited to potentially have this one done soon. I can already tell it'll be a lighter weight, like a lighter layer to wear because of the linen content. Like even when I'm knitting on it and I have it on my lap, it doesn't really feel as warm as like my 100% wool WIPs. So I'm really excited. It'll be nice to have a neutral, another neutral to add to my closet. Another WIP. Okay, so this one I'm really excited to show you. So the last episode, I showed y'all the Red Pansy August Monet Impressionisms Club yarn, based off of what painting? Autumn Poplars. So last time I had said I was going to knit it up into a Wild Wind tee, which is by Wool and Pine Designs. It is a lace, an all lace top, crop top. So I started out, I cast it on, I knit about maybe 15 to 20 rows in the lace, and it just wasn't a good combination. Like the yarn was too variegated for the lace to really show up well, and then the lace in turn just made the yarn look crazy in a way that I know it's not. So I frogged it and went back to the drawing board. Instead, what I'm knitting up is the Nirvana Sweater, also by This Bird Knits. And I am so excited to show you. I'm so glad I changed my plans because this was a perfect fit. Okay, are you ready? Ta-da! Look at that, it's so pretty. So this Nirvana Sweater is an all over colorwork sweater. It is made to be full length and full sleeves. I'm going to make it short sleeves because that's just what I do, make everything short sleeved for the most part. Oop, getting needles stuck in stitches. So the CC here, the beautiful variegation yarn, is the Red Pansy August Monet colorway. Look how pretty that is. And the, I guess, MC is Three Irish Girls Adorned Sock, and this is their colorway Skinny Jeans. So let me show you the cakes of yarn. Yeah. So the Skinny Jeans colorway is actually a colorway that Megan, Kimchi & Co. stashed to me earlier in the year. It was back when her and Aro were getting rid of a bunch of their blue yarns that they didn't love anymore, and I love blue, and so they gave all their blues to me, or not all, but they gave a good amount of blues to me. And I am already putting them to good use, so I guess that was a good move on all of our parts. But this was a perfect match. Like, how lucky was I to have this blue in stash as a gift that paired perfectly with this Monet yarn. Yeah. So yeah, I am really excited to keep knitting this up. I'm not very good at color work, so I'm sure by the end of this I will feel much better about my color work tension, because like, how can I not get better if I'm doing all color work sweater? But yeah, look how pretty that is. I am a couple rows away from sleeve separation. Yeah. But yeah, look how pretty that is. It is so pretty. I can't get over it. This is like a case of where I put my knitting down every couple rows and like admire it and look at it. And so therefore my progress is a little slow because I'm spending so much time admiring it. but that's all worth it because part of the reason we knit is to create beauty, right? And this is truly beauty. Yeah. So yeah, I anticipate it'll probably take me like another month, I think, to finish this. I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I haven't had as much knitting time recently. I'm not sure why that is. It might be just that my rhythm of knitting is ebbing and flowing, kind of like how we go through periods of productivity and periods of just rest. You know, I had a really productive year so far. Like, I think that Love Note sweater is maybe my 16th sweater of the year. It's either the 15th or 16th sweater, which means that I've been averaging almost 2 garments a month, which is crazy productive. And so I feel like maybe, not that I'm running out of steam because I'm still plenty inspired, but I think that just like my fingers and my hands are just slowing down a little bit, which is okay. You know, I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to feel like it becomes a chore or a task or anything. That's why I don't do commission knitting or anything like that. That would completely take all the joy out of it for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to show y'all the progress as I go along. All right, the last WIP I'm going to give you an update on is my Riff Sweater for my husband, the black sweater. I am further along on the sleeve now. I would say maybe I'm close to halfway. I don't know. I haven't made him try it on. Still increasing. But yeah, I really like how it looks with the contrast. So this black yarn is Black Pearl by Dream in Color Yarn. And the contrast is Forest Fiber Arts and Lovebirds. This blue was also destashed to me from Kimchi & Co. from Megan. So thank you again, Megan, for supplying yarn for 2 of my projects so far. Yeah, my goal is to have this sleeve done by like mid-October so that I have a whole nother month to knit the second sleeve, because my goal is to have this sweater completely finished by Thanksgiving. Because around Thanksgiving is probably when we'll take our annual family photo for our Christmas cards. And my dream this year is for us to all be wearing a hand-knit sweater in them. So my son's is done. I've got plenty of sweaters to pick from. My daughter's vest is almost done. And so my husband's sweater is the last one that needs to be done. So yeah. So that's it for the WIPs I've been actively working on. I have my Willow Tee still, but I've really not been working on that one that much. That one's kind of become like, I don't know, car knitting. I take it like if I'm taking the car to get inspected, I know I'm going to sit there and wait, I'll bring it with me because it's straight stockinette. But that one I don't really have a deadline for. I would like to have it done sometime soon. I don't know if it'll be done by the end of this year. I'm not going to pressure myself to finish it by the end of this year, but I do want to have it done like at least by the end of next year. Like, it drives me crazy when I have WIPs that sit there for like over a year. So I do try to get some momentum to finish them. All right, so on to my stash acquisition so far. So these 2 weeks I've gotten 2 orders of yarn in. One was some J'adore fibers. I talked to her a lot about her last episode, Shannon, who opened her shop very recently. And so I got some more yarn from her. So first I got a one-of-a-kind boho teal. That's the colorway, one-of-a-kind boho teal. This is in her Freya DK base. 75% merino, 25% nylon. I got 4 skeins of this. I'm just showing you 2 right now. But you can see beautiful depth of color in here. Yeah. Super love it. And then I also got 4 skeins of slate. And this is her one-of-a-kind slate. One-of-a-kind slate on Loopy Boucle DK. Oops, sorry, just touched the camera there. So this is it. I'm gonna show a little closer. You can see it's a very deep, deep, deep blue with some hints of purple coming through. So Boucle yarn, here's my prediction. Boucle yarn is gonna be the new slub. So kind of how like 2 or 3 years ago, slub became super popular in the knitting world and everyone wanted it and all the dyers were dyeing it up. Boucle, I think, is going to be the new slub for this year. So Boucle yarn, I'm going to see if I can separate out a strand so you can see it. It's got, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just got loops on it. Let's see, can you see that? You see it's got loops on it. So when you knit it up, it'll be like a super squishy fabric that's like texture too. My plan for these is to make a cardigan. I might test knit Sisu's cardigan that she's making up in boucle right now. Because I look at it, I look how squishy it is, I'm just like, it needs to be something squishy and cozy and comforting, like a cardigan, like a big oversized cardigan. So yeah, I can't resist squishing it. So those are my plans for these. I don't have a plan for these. Yeah, I'll find one. And I also got some yarn from Shop La Mercerie. Shop La Mercerie. I took French all through high school and I still feel really insecure when I say anything in French. I mean, partially because I never got to the point where I was actually conversational. I just knew enough to get by on exams. But she got a shipment of Big Little Fiber, Big Little Yarn Co. and Big Little Yarn Co. is Melanie, and Melanie recently moved to Japan, and so she's shipping out everything out of Japan now. And so this is my first time getting her yarn. And so this colorway is Hanami. Look how pretty it is. Oh, it's like light blue and creamish base. Some variegations of pink and yellow and speckles throughout. Yeah, very springy. Very me. And then I got a single skein of Sakura to go with it. So I'm thinking these will be a colorwork sweater of some sort, with the Sakura as the CC, I think. Yeah, look how pretty they are together. So this is in her trusty sock base, which is, I think it's a 75-25. Yeah, 75% merino, 25% nylon. Yeah. So pretty. Yeah, so springy. I love them. So yeah, I think that is all I have to show you this week. It is. So we will move on to the wellness tip for this week. So the wellness tip for this week, I'm going to talk to you about pain. And in terms of that, I want to kind of break down for you different types of pain and what they might mean and when you should seek any sort of professional help. So pain itself is not a very descriptive word. It's actually a very overarching, vague kind of word. So whenever I ask my patients about their pain, I always ask them to describe it. So some common descriptors are sharp, dull, achy, throbbing, squeezing, tight, stiff, burning, numbing, tingling. So those are all very common descriptors of pain, and they can all mean different things. So one category is when someone says that their kind of pain is like sharp or stabbing. That usually indicates to me that there's something going on structurally or in the tissue level that is creating inflammation, creating pain. And usually sharp pain and stabbing kind of pain, we want to stay away from, okay? Another kind of pain people describe to me is sore or achy. That can sometimes mean just kind of like muscular pain in terms of like soreness after you've been working out, muscular soreness, that kind of thing. That kind of soreness is okay if it's tolerable. Muscle soreness is to be expected anytime you exercise, as long as it's not preventing you from doing your daily life things. Another type of pain is stiffness, and that can be just from, something like waking up and you slept wrong on your neck, or you were sitting in one position for a really long time, and when you got up you felt kind of stiff. Stiffness is just, to me, indicates a limitation in how much range you have when you're moving around. Stiffness that goes away when you move around is not anything really to be concerned about. That's kind of normal, kind of typical. The kind of pain, though, that I do want to highlight and that I do want to tell you to seek professional help for is any kind of burning, numbing, or tingling kind of pain. So burning and numbing and tingling are usually words we associate with nerve pain. And nerve pain can happen either from compression of the nerves or a stretch on the nerves or an injury to the nerves. And, it's okay to feel it once in a while, like when you hit your funny bone, that's hitting your ulnar nerve, and that can create that kind of nerve pain. That's all right, as long as it goes away, right? When you hit your funny bone, it hurts like that for maybe a couple minutes and then it goes away and you're fine. The kind of pain I'm talking about is the kind where you get that burning, tingling, numbing pain, it doesn't go away. It lingers for like an hour or two, it doesn't go away, or it's always there constantly. If it's there constantly, like, that's no good. Like, you want to go see a doctor for that. If it's something where you're noticing that comes on with a particular activity, so for example, I have a lot of people who will tell me in my DMs that when they start to knit, their hands go numb. That's not a great thing either. You know, if it goes away once you stop, that's great, but you do want to avoid having any kind of nerve associated pain when you're doing anything. And so I would say with that, you want to check what your posture and your ergonomics look like, figure out maybe where you could be compressing your nerve or what could be causing it, and try to shift and adjust your posture to avoid that. If you need help or guidance with that, I recommend my videos on postures and positions. If you feel like you need some help walking through that, then I would suggest that you go and find a physical therapist to see in person who can help you troubleshoot that. So yeah, so I hope that's helpful, breaking down kind of the different kinds of pain there are and what is concerning and what is not. Of course, this is all kind of not complete. This isn't, I have to put that disclaimer out here that this is not medical advice. This is like my own personal advice. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I always advise though that if you're worried about something, you're not quite sure, you know, the best course of action you can take is to seek a medical professional who is local to you, who can see you and evaluate you and help you. So I hope that's helpful. If there are any other wellness related topics you'd like to hear me talk about, feel free to drop those in the comments so I can add them to my list of things to discuss and to break down. Right now on my Instagram, I'm going through a series on sciatica, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you again for joining me. Again, feel free to connect with me on Instagram or here on YouTube if you like. I love hearing from all of you. And happy knitting. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.